and welcome back to another episode of Black Law and Legal Lies.
Yeah.
Shut up. This is one of your hosts, Just Dan. You can follow the show across all media platforms at Black Law Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at I Tell Legal Lies. Please support the show via our online shop, Black Law Podcast /shop. There are some very nice
.com/shop.
Man, they know .com. Damn. It's the age of the internet. Anyway, we have some very nice t-shirts and hoodies for your perusal and purchase.
Yeah. Hoodies.
Yeah, you are a hood.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes,
yeah,
you are.
Yeah, look, y'all. My name Dan, and I'm one of your hosts today, right? And feel me on this, dog. Man, I'm gangster today. You heard me? You can keep up with me.
Guess what? You are not from New Orleans, so that you heard. You need to get off that.
Man, niggas in New York be saying you heard.
Whatever.
You heard me?
Whatever. You're not from New York either.
You heard me? Look, check this out, right?
What your kind from Virginia say?
Psh, look, man. Hey, Joe. Man, y'all Bama ass niggas better listen to me when I tell you this shit, man. Look, I be on this joint lunching sometimes. You feel me, Mo? But look, it ain't got to be like that, man. We be lunching, man. Oh. See, you old lunchbox, Mo.
I thought
you old lunchbox, Mo.
Munching. I thought y'all be eating stuff.
Nah, nigga, we don't be doing that. You heard me? So look, yeah, I'm Gangster Dan today, feel me? And you can keep up with me on
we ain't feeling you. That's sexual
Twitter
harassment.
And IG at I am Dan on drugs.
You definitely on some drugs.
Yeah. Actually, I am on some drugs. So I'm gonna just thug it out this whole episode. Feel me? That's why I got the hood on, because I'm thugging it out.
You know what? Anyway, thank you for joining us today. And, you mentioned Bama. We kick Bama's ass. Go LSU. Roll outside.
Man, them some Bama ass niggas.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so once again, thank you for tuning in with us again. You could spend your time doing some of anything. Just glad to have you listening to us.
Hey, Young, they probably is doing stuff, though. Why they listening to us?
They're good at multitasking. That's awesome. So
I be listening to podcasts when I be taking the shit, though. For real.
You know what?
On mother.
Looking for a new co-host. Could y'all applications will be accepted. You could direct message me on Twitter. Anyway,
replace David Ruffin.
Anyway, we are going to be talking about injustices today, and basically functions of the law not being utilized, or let me back up, unintentional consequences of legislation. Quite often legislators pass laws and they have unintentional effects. They don't quite see, because, I was telling somebody, we were having a conversation with a lawyer and somebody who is a judge, and was having a conversation with her about how people we elect, they create laws and they pass laws, but they don't pass laws that really are effective for the common person. When they pass these laws, they're not thinking about how they will affect, or the unintended effects that it may have on common people, everyday people. And the way that, and this was in the context of family law, and our topic kind of revolves around family and law, not family law specifically. It's criminal law, but every law could have an unintentional consequence. Today we're going to be talking about the case of Miss, and I know I am going to jack this girl's name up.
Man, let me help you out here, Mo.
Because I don't know. I want to say Taladano, but that because when I look at her name, that's what it looks like. But it's
Spell it.
Tondalo, I think is how she pronounced her name. I really don't know.
Tondalo.
Look, like I said, it looked like Taladano to me, but
Tondalo.
But her name is Tondalo Hall. She is an Oklahomian who recently was let out of jail via a commutation of her sentence. So the governor of Oklahoma commuted the sentences for about 400 nonviolent offenders.
When did this happen?
A couple of weeks ago.
Now, I'd just like to explain something to the listeners. Hold on. I can't be gangster for this. I would just like to explain something to our listeners. Ladies and gentlemen, around this time of year, you start to see shit like this because of upcoming elections. So you will see people doing shit like commuting sentences, either because they're on their way out or because they want to get the progressive vote.
Okay, so to let everybody know who does not know or who does not want to Google what commutation is. Commutation of sentence is basically
that's after you get married and you and you beat the.
It is the lessening of sentencing.
Correct.
So basically, if you were given life and you served 15 years of a life sentence and the governor commutes the rest, you can get out.
Yeah.
So basically, he paved the way for these people. Basically, he said time served.
But that's like seldom, like sentences commuted. Oh, right now, I'm sorry to just completely. This is what I do, though. This is what I do. What they call it, jumping the shark. We're about to jump the shark. The dude, I can't even think of his name. He's in Texas right now. He's about to die on November 20th.
The ones that they're hoping that Donald Trump is going to pardon.
Right. So that dude was, from everything that I saw, he was set up. That shit was a setup because he had a consensual relationship with the white woman who was married to a police officer. Correct. Who went to jail. The police officer also went to jail for beating or killing or doing something to somebody else.
Yeah, but they're saying that he killed her.
Yeah, he killed her and then framed brother man who's about to die. And that dude is just sitting there so calm, was like, it is what it is. It's like, yo, because how could you not be furious?
Because he has resigned himself to
never.
And you know what it is? I think he knows that he was in the midst of some wrongdoing. He was having an affair with a married woman.
That's not death. That's not death.
Well, it used to be, but I digress. Anyway, I think for him, it's a matter of, I don't want to get quite like you. It's the Eeyore syndrome. I don't want to get my hopes up that this too may be passing away from me, and then tell somebody, have somebody tell me, okay, you're dying tomorrow. Or you're dying next week. So, I mean, you understand that. You live your life like that.
Yeah, but look, quick story. I got to do this first, though. Yeah, right. So peep game, right? When I was getting up out the detention center, right, for the first time, you feel me? Like, what is you trying to signal to me that I got some shit on my face?
No, my jaw itched, so I scratched it.
So you scratched your nose. All right, cool. Yeah, bet, homie. So look, check this out, right? When I was getting up out that detention center, right? Now, I ain't even know that they had monitored all.
You ain't know?
I ain't even know that they had monitored all of our phone calls. So I'm like talking to my mama and them, right? And I'm like, yeah, when I get up out here, right? we're gonna go get something to eat, you feel me? And you gotta take me shopping, man. I need some gear. I need to hit these streets fresh. I need to be fly. You heard me? And mama was like, okay, whatever. So then this cat named, one of the CEOs there, cat named Lou. Never liked that nigga. But he came up to me like a day later. He was like, so I understand you got plans to go shopping when you get out here, right? And I was like, yeah, man, about to go hit Foot Locker. Man, I'm going to hit these streets fresh. So it's like, oh, they ain't tell you, did they?
You wasn't
they
leaving.
Ain't tell me what. You getting out, but you just going to another facility.
Oh.
Yo.
That's cool.
I looked at that nigga, I was like, and this is middle of the day. I said, fam, send me to my cell. And I was dead serious.
Because I'm about to go fuck some shit up if you leave me out here, right?
Put me on lockdown. And he put me on lockdown because that's some foul shit to have a release date. I had the release date and...
So wait, was it on another charge? Is that the reason why you were going to another facility?
No. I had my release date. I did my time, but then you have to go to the secure group home once you get out.
Oh, so it's like transition.
Basically,
it's like the halfway house that an adult would actually go to.
But see, the thing is with that, you can't come and go as you please. You literally
have to. It's like your
next
detention,
door, right?
So it's still
they walk
you are on
over,
lockdown,
and the only difference is you can come into contact with the females that is there, and you can wear street clothes.
Oh,
that's it.
So you was smashing chicks
while
you was
you can't. We tried that, and it was this one chick too. Man, I'm talking about digressing. Shit, man, there was this one chick too. Shout to Shonda. I don't even know if she alive or not, but shout to Shonda. She used to work there, right? Man, Shonda, I think she had a thing for me. She was like one of the night people that
monitors or whatever. Mm-hmm.
And she would help me get dressed in the morning for school. And when I said she would help me get dressed, she would help me get dressed for school. And then
she was like 15 years old, 16 years old.
Give or take.
Wait? Why you need help being dressed?
I think she just wanted to see me naked for real. And like
that was child abuse.
Probably so. I didn't mind though, cause feel me. So she would be like, nah, you gotta wear this. No, take them pants off. Take them pants off. Nah, you gonna go with these, cause you know you gonna get all the little girls wearing it. I swear she just wanted to see me naked. But I'm like, I don't give a fuck, cause you know.
Of course not. You was loving it.
And then there was this other chick. I ain't gonna say her name, cause she followed me on social media, right? But look, so you feel me, right? Look. Everybody in the group home had it was equal numbers of male and female. So everybody had a girlfriend up in there, right? But the one I wanted. So
that was your girlfriend?
Nah, she the one that worked there. But the one I wanted, this other dude, this old bitch ass nigga, he was now this nigga was a Bama. This nigga was from fucking Nebraska somewhere. Fucking Omaha, Nebraska. Come out the city talking about some, yeah, because we real gangsters. And nigga, shut your bitch ass up. Okay. So he was fucking with this little Spanish girl that I like, right? So the reason I liked her is because at the lunch table, she would get foot jobs under the table. Yo, anybody ever had a foot job out here? It's basically like a hand job with your feet. Uh-huh. Man, that shit used to be fire when you was locked down, man. And then I got this thing, I don't even fuck with feet. Don't touch me, I don't want to see your feet. I don't want this shit. You feel me, fam? So that goes back to the whole commuting the sentence and being disappointed. Yes.
You know what? That was about old boy in Texas. Yeah. The other rabbit hole you led us down, being disappointed. But so going back to Miss Hall. So basically her backstory was she was in a relationship with this man who abused her children. She had 3 kids. She was 18, 19 years old. Live-in boyfriend was abusing her children and her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To the point where he was strangling these children. He would choke them out. He would kick them, beat them, any of a number of things. But it all came to a head when he broke the femur of her daughter.
Jesus Christ.
You know what kind of pressure you got up?
That's what I was going to say. Yes. The femur is like one of the strongest bones in the body.
Yes, exactly. So like that's why I said it came to that head then. So the abuse came to the light. All right. They're both arrested. Okay. The person the abuser, who, as I said, was abusing her as well, he pleads guilty. He spends about 2 years in jail, awaiting trial. He pleads guilty to the abuse, gets 10 years suspended sentence, time served. He's on probation. He gets out, living his life. So Ms. Hall, who also spent 2 years awaiting trial, is found guilty for failing to protect her children. So Oklahoma is one of 6 states. Let me find the 6 states. So
guilty of not protecting your child. Like, where the fuck do you draw the line with not protecting your child? Like, if you're now, and this is a crazy scenario, but I'm serious when I say this. Okay, your child's going down a sliding board and fucking falls and busts their head.
No,
like, at what point, where do you draw the line with what protecting your child?
Well, no, the failure to protect law is basically a law that you have the affirmative duty to tell someone that your child is being abused. So that's
see, but aren't you supposed to be the one that
Right. So it is we talk about accessories. Wait, you remember we had a conversation about accessories after the fact or whatever. So the theory behind it is, if you know that your child is being abused, you need to protect your child from that abuse.
Correct.
By reporting that abuse.
Right.
Okay. Well, she failed to protect her children from this abuser. She failed to report the abuse. So, as I said, Oklahoma is one of 6 states that have these laws. You know, most states have laws that are designed to protect children in all of these different scenarios. But as I said, only 6, and that's Oklahoma, Missouri, Nebraska, Nevada, South Carolina, and West Virginia.
Okay.
They have failure to protect laws. And as I said, those are laws that are designed to make you have this affirmative, to take these affirmative actions. You have an affirmative duty. You have to do X, Y, and Z. And if you don't.
So in other states, you do not have to report your child's being abused?
It's different. It's different. If you know that a child is being abused and you don't say anything, that is not a separate crime. These 6 states make it a crime for you not to say anything.
Gotcha. Okay.
So failure to protect. So in this particular case, as I said, Ms. Hall, she spends 2 years waiting trial too. Judge gives her 30 years. Some of these states have like life sentences, or up to 99 years to life can be the sentence for this. Oklahoma, judge gives her 30 years. Keep in mind, as I said, 18 years old, she's being abused as well. She's in a situation where domestic violence may probably on a daily basis, she's being violated by this person along with her children. And so the judge, as I said, literally threw the book at her and used the fact that she was being abused to actually enhance her sentence, because
she should have left, basically.
It's like you knew that this man was abusive because he was abusing you and you subjected your children to this. So when I say we're talking about miscarriages of justice, this woman served 15 years in jail. She was a battered woman. Her children were abused. She spent 15 years in jail, and the abuser walked away after 2 years.
And what color? Do we know what color?
Black.
Okay, both black. Now, this is something I don't understand, and I don't think I'll ever be able to understand this. So when I say what I say and ask the questions I'm asking, it is not to be facetious or offensive or anything. I'm genuinely curious. Let me start off by talking about myself. That's something that I'm really good at, right? I always have a way out. I always have a way out. No matter what it is, no matter what situation I'm in, I have a way out. And I don't care. I might lose a lot in whatever, however I escape this. Like, let's just to throw something out here, a house, right? This house. I can walk away from this shit, stop paying for it. Yeah, the bank's gonna foreclose. Yeah, my credit's gonna get fucked up, but I can walk away. I don't understand why people stay in situations that are unhealthy. Of course, a house is an unfair comparison, but I'm just saying without leaving. Like,
but it's a mentality. You think about it. Though? It is 100%. I am not a victim of abuse, but I know people who are currently in abusive relationships, and I know people who have been in abusive relationships, and it's a mentality.
Where does that come from? Like, where does that mentality come from?
You remember you made a comment on a show. I think it was the show that we were doing about the missing and exploited children. Okay. You said that these children are groomed.
Right.
Same scenario. You just like a child can be groomed to be to be sex trafficked.
Mm-hmm.
Victims of violence are groomed as well, and that's just same thing goes for victims of sexual assault. You are taught, or the mentality is, it's my fault. I did something to make them angry. I need to do better. That's what you are trained to believe.
How do you get there, though?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't abuse people. I've never been abused. I don't know how you go from, I would assume same way. You start out as a kind, loving person, and then over time you start changing. So
I've been both. I've been abused and I've been abusive. So I can say the times I was abused, it was on some old, I talked about it on A Few Screws Loose, by family, physically abused, all kinds of
somebody
shit.
that's supposed to love you, somebody that you trust. But so think about that.
Right.
This is my living boyfriend. We have this relationship. He is supposed to love me. I'm supposed to love him. And I love him. And then he starts beating me. And most victims of abuse, the very first thing they say, they internalize that it is my fault.
Mm-hmm.
I have to do something different. I have to do better.
See, but in my case, that just wasn't it. In my case, I was abused as a child, and I'm talking to the point, just to kind of reiterate for those who didn't listen to A Few Screws Loose. I have a pastor, aunt, and uncle, both of them church folks, right? So my mama, being a poor single mother, we couldn't afford babysitters. We couldn't afford daycares or whatever. So I would have to be dropped off with different family members during the day while she went to work. This particular family member, being that they own the church, is like, oh, good church people. Yeah, we'll watch your son. So it started off with them parading me around their church in like a little blue suit. I still remember the shit, in penny loafers with the pennies in them. And they would just parade me around this church. It was just like weird. But when we would get home from church, it's like everything's all good. It's all love at the church. Like, oh yeah, we love our nephew. Look, we looking after our nephew. It's dinner time. We sit at a table, much like this, right? My aunt couldn't cook worth shit. And she would make, if you can't cook, don't cook liver. But she would make liver and onions and all that shit. I would not want to eat it. So I'm like, no, I'm good. And then they hit you up. There's poor people in whatever country,
Africa.
blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't care about them. I'm like 6 years old, 7 years old. Fuck out of here. So no, you're going to eat it and stand up. This is where it stand up. So I would be standing at the table, fork and knife in my hand, uncle with the belt, beat my ass with a fork and a knife in my hand. And it's like, nigga, you gonna eat. So I take a bite and gagging. And yo, if you throw up, you gonna eat the vomit too.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened to a few cousins of mine where they ate the vomit. Had other, like, sick the dog on me. And I had other cousins that had the same exact experience with these people, right? And sadly, some of them had to live with them. But yo, I never once said, that was my fault. I never once said I need to change. Now I'm a kid too. I'm like 6, 7, 8, 9, not even 9, probably 6, 7 years old. And I'm like, yo, there's some fucking assholes. Never once did I put that on me and say, yo, that's my fault. Never once did I say, oh, I still love them. Fuck them. There's some pieces of shit. I hope they die slow.
Right.
But
right. But
that's as a child though.
But that's not everybody's experience. Like I said,
but still, as a child.
Right. But most victims of abuse, especially domestic violence, in situations where it's male female or female female, male male, domestic violence situations amongst spouses or significant others, the person who is the victim of abuse, it is the whole I can do better. If I am better, things will get better. I don't know where it comes from. You know, that's what the literature tells me. That's what the people that I know who's gone through it and who are currently going through it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hear them. Like I said, I had read the literature. I never heard somebody say that to me in real life. And then I did. And it was like, really?
Man.
So, I mean, I don't know what causes that mentality.
But check this. I wanted to clarify one thing, too, because I did say I was an abuser as well. Not physical. I was this bitch going to do with
you play mental games.
Basically, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember some of my girlfriends growing up. Them bitches wasn't having that shit. Like, hey, I know you ain't finna wear that out, is you? Yeah? Nah, fam, you shouldn't be wearing that. Oh, hold on.
Oh, here you go.
Nah, fam, you can't even wear that out there in public like that. Niggas be looking at you and shit. Nigga, fuck you. But I'm saying though, right? Right? You can't be wearing that, right? You ain't telling me what to wear, nigga. You ain't my daddy. You want to talk to my daddy? Shit, you ain't my dad. Okay.
Yeah, but you know, like I said, different mentalities. Different mentalities. But in Miss Hall's case, as I said, she was being abused as well. Oklahoma, unlike other states, they don't have an exception for parents who don't report the abuse for fear of their own physical abuse. So in this case, like I said, even though she was a victim of abuse, that was used to enhance her sentence. So the abuser, as I said, walked away 2 years. She served 15 years. So along comes the governor, and he is commuting sentences left and right. She is one of the lucky 4+100 that got out. But we're saying this to highlight, like I said, this was an injustice because an abuser walked free.
Yeah.
Now, what happened after he walked free, if he got into a relationship with some other woman did the same thing? I mean, 9 times out of 10, probably. I don't know his story after the fact, but I do know Miss Hall's. She spent 15 years in jail as a 18, 19-year-old young woman, and she had 3 kids who, even though while she was in jail, she maintained a relationship, these children are almost grown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, So her youngest, I think, when she went to jail was like, I want to say like 3, maybe something like that. But say this also to say it's not surprising in Oklahoma. Oklahoma has the highest female incarceration rate in our country. And it's funny because once again, as far as incarceration goes, people of color are disproportionately affected.
Yeah, we talk about that every single time. And then the other thing that this particular story only reinforces what we've said since we started this podcast, which is that is why we don't get authorities involved, because when we have such unfair trying to go the justice route, trying to go the through the proper channels, the way white people would do it, basically, we get fucked. And then, like Miss Hall here, I'm pretty sure if something happens to her in the future, sans child abuse or anything, she's not calling the police, and
she is not predisposed. She would not.
Yeah, because now she cannot trust them. And I can only go back again to me being a child, which is I did not trust anybody, like any authority figures, any of the COs, any of the probation officers. Because I once had this probation officer, right, that told me, everything we say here is confidential, blah, 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 blah. So, we have a conversation. That shit comes up in court. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. So that this case right here only speaks to exactly what we've been saying is why we don't trust you motherfuckers.
Of law enforcement. Also, something to note, at the top of the show, I talked about injustice and inequality and how sometimes legislative intent goes off the rail. I can see why Oklahoma and these other states have laws like this. Other states have laws that effectively do the same thing as these 6 states' laws do. I understand the thought behind it, but this is one law that, and I say inadvertently, I don't know the way these people think, but it has such an crazy effect on women who are abused themselves, to the point that in Oklahoma, 2 out of 3 of the women that are incarcerated were victims of abuse. This law, more often than not, is putting these women behind bars. Ms. Hall is not the only person in the state of Oklahoma that's in jail due to this law. And it's like, these women are abused. Their children are in abusive environments. Yet instead of helping, what the law does is mama goes to jail. Children are either in foster care or being raised by some other family member. Yep. So it's almost like double jeopardy, because you're in jail and your family is shattered. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, inadvertent consequences. So I guess my theme for this show is the laws that our elected officials create. We should basically have them, or we should be more proactive when laws like this actually are trying to be placed on the books, because we don't realize until 20 years later, 10 years later, how these laws affect us.
So here's the thing. A lot of the times, now, this is just based off of what I know, which is not a whole lot, but a lot of the times these very specific laws are bundled with other shit.
Mm-hmm.
So like just like the what do you call it? The shit super predators, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and them.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck
It's true.
the crime, the the crime bill.
Uh-huh.
It's like you basically you put all this other shit in here and you put it at the bottom in fine print, and then you got your headline. So let's say that Oklahoma law. I don't know. We want to take away senior citizens' driver's license at the age of 75 because they keep running into shit and wrecking and killing themselves. And
but
then you
like,
they
have the ability to strike stuff though. See, that's the thing.
They do, but does the general public know that? The general public sees, I want these old ass motherfuckers off the road, but they don't look at all the smaller shit or all the other things that are packaged in with that because.
But we don't see that. That's the thing. Like, the only time we see something, like in the state of Louisiana, we see things when there needs to be constitutional amendments passed to affect certain things. Like laws that are created and passed, they do that in the legislature. We don't necessarily, they have them out there for us to see, but we don't vote on those. We don't vote on that. But our representatives, they have the ability to strike things. Strike things in laws. But what I see though is very often, as I said, the inadvertent effects of laws that our legislatures make. And this one, for the most
egregious,
right? It's fucked because it's like the phrase "adding salt to the wound."
Yeah,
and that's basically what you've done. So my child is hurt, and I find it within myself to pull myself out of this crazy situation, and I try to make it right. And then, as you said, 15 years later, I'm getting out of jail.
Right.
When the person who did all of this
is still out here. Now, what does putting salt into a wound actually do? I hear the saying all the time, but what does it do?
It burns, but
so does peroxide.
But putting salt in a wound was actually used to like stem the flow of blood or whatever, but it burns.
So does peroxide, so does alcohol, so does what's that shit, the red shit that grandmas used to have?
Yeah, but see, they didn't have all that. This was back in the day.
Iodine.
This was back in the day when they used to salt the wound.
Yo, the iodine. The red shit grandma used to have.
Man, iodine didn't burn.
That shit used to stink and look ugly, man.
It didn't burn.
So what can people do? All right, so every law that's passed, that's going to pass, regardless, there are going to be unintended consequences. It's just the nature of creating laws because you can't think of every single possible, like, all right.
But I want you, see, that's the thing. I want you to.
You can't.
I know you say that you can't, but you should.
But you can't.
You should.
You
see,
should,
and that's why, this is why the passage of laws, like basically building the law and passing it, it takes a while for all of that to happen because they try to think about what's our intent and what could possibly happen. And no, you can't think of every scenario. But what I said a few minutes back is we need to be involved in things that are going to affect us. That's what we as a people, we don't do. There are services for you to see the laws that are being brought to your representatives for possible passage.
Right.
Like in every state, you can go to your state House of Representatives and Senate and look at the bills that they have up for passage.
I know when we go to vote, they'll have posters with every little Like, even if it's a package deal.
That's constitutional amendments, though.
No.
It's not.
This is like for Louisiana shit.
Right. Constitutional amendments.
I don't think so. Some of it was like for a millage, a Jefferson Parish millage.
That's parish stuff.
Right.
That's not the type of stuff that I'm talking about.
Well,
because see, that's the things that we can vote on. When we're talking laws that affect the state,
so we can't vote
or
on that.
the federal government, we don't vote on that. The only thing we vote on as a state, we vote on things that would amend the Constitution. Okay. Anything that amends the state constitution, we vote on. Like laws, like bills that turn into laws, we don't vote on those. So
the new Green Deal, we won't vote on that.
We wouldn't. Not unless they need a constitutional amendment to do something with it.
I want to go back though to knowing all the possible outcomes, like the whole Dr. Strange shit, right? Coming from my world, my line of work as far as IT, right? Mm-hmm. You have different things. Let's look at coders, okay? You're coding an app. Mm-hmm. And you know what you want this app to do. You know how you want this app to work. So you're thinking with a coding brain, I'm going to code it to do this. Mm-hmm. And you still, there could be someone like just a regular Joe Blow who uses your app to do something
that you didn't expect that it was going to do.
Right, exactly. So then you have to patch it. So you go in, you patch it. That patch could actually open up another vulnerability somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, I forget the saying, something about a boat sinking and plugging it in a new.
Yeah, but the problem is you talk about patches. That's something that I want to say it's rare. It's not that rare, but we don't do often. Like if we see, or not we, but legislatures or legislators, if they see something or somebody, some say the ACLU does this study and they see how this law, because they see how this law in Oklahoma affects women in Oklahoma and people of color in Oklahoma. And they know that this particular law has contributed to the over-incarceration of women in the state of Oklahoma.
That's only par for the course across the nation, though.
Right? Because, like I said, it happens nationwide. Mm-hmm. Then what do? We lobby the legislator to change it, to patch it. But we don't get involved in that. That's the thing. As a people, we don't.
We protest. We should. But anytime, this is my personal view, and I'm sure a lot of people share this sentiment. Anytime you have a lot of people of color, black people, angry, up in arms, it's best to do nothing, because that means you have them right where you want them.
We're vilified, but then we are vilified.
Yeah. It's like, now that I know that this legislation I pass is affecting you to the point that you want to come out here and protest and hold up signs, that means I know I'm doing something right. Because let's face it, throughout this nation, we're the bottom of the barrel, and even other minorities look at us as less than. I forget who I was talking to, but you look at a lot of the Asians, mm-hmm. They look at us like we're pieces of shit, even though they own stores in our neighborhoods. They sell us fake hair. You look at the Middle Easterns back home. We couldn't find jobs because the Middle Easterns came in and they bought the McDonald's franchises and stuff, and they would only hire each other. We couldn't find jobs because they do not hire outside of their race, ethnicity, or religion, however you want to look at it. You look at even the Hispanics who are being demonized right now, like by our current president. Build that wall, build that wall. They don't even fuck with us like talking about. So we've been here the longest. We've been here longer than all of y'all. We were brought here against our wills, unlike all of y'all. And yet we're still looked at as
we're vilified.
Yeah,
we're
the
less
bottom of the barrel. So anytime I can get you niggers riled up, and that's a niggers riled up, I'm doing my job. I'm doing something good, and nothing's gonna change. But once you start getting our allies involved, that's when you start to see change. It's like we don't get change done on our own. Like the ACLU, NAACP, fuck them motherfuckers. They do not do shit. They are actually backed by our white allies. That's who actually gets shit done. We don't get shit done. Our organizations don't get shit done. So
no, we do have to have, once again, you're right, because once Caucasian people get involved, once they think that it is a worthy cause, that's when change happens. True, because you think about the Summer of Freedom and the Freedom Riders. You know how many black people were dying and nothing changed, but then
a couple of them died. Yeah, exactly.
Then you had these three men die, two of which were white, and then the whole script got flipped.
But then, I remember that's because they called in the National Guard and some more shit. But then you have to ask yourself, right? Well, this is what I ask myself often is, why get involved? As far as allies, why get involved? Because your life is completely unaffected by what happens to us. Sure, you may look at us and say, damn, that's kind of fucked up. But at the end of the day, it doesn't affect you. You're not really invested. So
they are invested because
why?
I'll tell you why. Because there are some people out there who can't stand injustice. There are people out there who genuinely hate the fact that you are hated because of the color of your skin.
Bullshit.
And that's real. There are people out there other than people of color who feel our pain. It might be guilt that causes them to do this, but in my estimation, I don't care if guilt makes you act.
White guilt,
as long as you act.
What white guilt does is it gives you coupons for Popeye's chicken. That's what white guilt does. But I don't even believe it's that. What I believe is nobody.
It furthers their agenda?
Well, that's part of it. Nobody does anything. Maybe this is the pessimist in me.
It is.
Nobody. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. Nobody does anything
that doesn't benefit them.
Good just to do something good. You sometimes maybe it's just because you want to feel good about yourself. You see the homeless dude on the side of the road, you give him $1 and man, you sure feel good about yourself. But nobody does anything good just to do something good. So I look at a lot of the people that try to help us as they're either politically trying to make a name for themselves, or they're trying to get they want the reward. They want to
Well, what's the reward? I'm honestly, what was the reward for the Freedom Riders?
The reward was that's an easy one. The black vote was the reward.
So wait, these were not these white college kids who were a part of that. They weren't running for anything.
They weren't, but they were supporting X, Y, and Z. So let's say Bernie Sanders. Let's use today's Bernie Sanders. Lots of people love Bernie Sanders. College kids love Bernie Sanders, right? So the college kids go down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to go try to get more people registered to vote because whatever. But these people are more likely than not okay, you're coming into our neighborhood, you're helping us get registered to vote, you're telling us we have a vote. We're going to fuck with whoever you fucking with.
So basically, your theory is the Freedom Riders rode throughout the South because they wanted black people to vote for the Democrats.
Absolutely. Because the Republicans did not want these people to vote. So the Republicans weren't riding through the South hey, let's get these niggers here all registered to vote. No, that what they started doing was doing the literacy test, all the other the gerrymandering and shit. So basically, that's why, a lot of people will bring this up. Lincoln freed the slaves. The Republican Party freed the slaves, but y'all want to vote Democrat. And let's be honest, the Democrats do take the black vote for granted.
And they do because as you said, Democrats tended to do more for people of color than Republicans. And yes, when people talk about Lincoln freeing the slaves, that within itself was a tactic, because Lincoln wanted black people to help fight the war.
Yeah.
So that was literally a tactic. So had the slaves been Chinese, Lincoln would have freed the Chinese.
And that's the point that I was making.
It was a tactic.
Is we've been the pawns of everybody throughout history. No one does anything for us out of the kindness or because they want to see equality or they want to see fairness. They do it because we're being fucking used as pawns. When we finally do something for ourselves, let's think Black Wall Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how Black Wall Street came to be? Of course you do, but I'm going to tell everybody else. They had what was called a land grab. And what it was at 10, I'm just making the time up. Y'all can look it up. But at 10 a.m., you can go out here and all this area, where was it, Kansas?
Mm-hmm.
You take a stake or a flag or some shit, and you can go claim land, and it is yours. We're giving it to you. So all these people went there. They set up. It was like waiting for a new iPhone. They was all lined up. People was dying. They was getting killed. It was like this Popeye's chicken sandwich. People was getting stabbed up over some land. So people of color, we weren't able to go stand in that line and go claim some of this same land. They didn't. So we had to go get the land over here, way away from that shit. And they didn't want us to have that either. But we had it. And we built that shit, turned it into a booming economy. And it was literally Wall Street for black people. Niggas can't have nothing nice because what happened was, a lot of people don't know this, and forgive me if I get the details wrong. A lot of people think white people just got mad and bombed it. That wasn't what happened. Essentially, it was what happened. But it was almost like an Emmett Till situation where a black man went on another side of town and whistled at a white woman that did something, something to that effect. Did something that they didn't like. And then he came running back to the Black Wall Street like, fuck that, these motherfuckers trying to kill me. They came into Black Wall Street and burned that bitch to the ground, basically. So it's like, when we do for ourselves, we did that shit without the help of any allies. Right. Y'all take that shit from us.
All right. I mean, you think about Harlem, in the 60s, in the 70s, and how that was a booming black economy in Harlem. And there was this renaissance in Harlem, literature and movies and everything. I mean, we as black people, we've done a lot for ourselves, but we've forgotten how to do that. Literally, we have forgotten.
I don't think we've forgotten how
to do that.
I think we've been deprogrammed how.
Well, so literally, we've forgotten how, because now,
by design, I guess is what I'm saying. By design,
right? Because now we want to foster you onto the system so that you don't rise above or you don't rise out.
Right.
But I digress. So let me back up to what I was saying before we went down this sidebar and rabbit hole. I guess you can say that I'm pessimistically optimistic. I do believe that there are genuinely people who help just because. No hidden agendas. Even though, subliminally or subconsciously, people are always going to be motivated by what's good for them. I mean, that's just human nature. True. But as I said, I do believe that there are people who will genuinely help the next man and not have an agenda. Not be like, how can it benefit me? I do that. I mean, I help people all the time.
Give me an example. Actually, yeah, let's do this. Give me an example.
So I will give you an example. Oh, Lord. Why I gotta be subjected to Tyrone? All right, here's an example. I am a religious person, and I adhere to the tenets of the Bible for the most part. None of us are perfect. I'm definitely an imperfect being. But
true that.
But what the Bible tells us is, to whom much is given, much is required. And that is a tenet that I believe in. So God has allowed me to reach a certain station in life.
Mm-hmm.
He's given me a certain set of skills.
Okay.
Right? So the skills that I have, I put to use for other people a lot of the time at no cost. Because
that's bad business.
Look, I do it because I can do it, because I have the knowledge and I have this skill set. I can help somebody, and sometimes it's to my detriment, not my benefit, but I still do it because I can help, and I want absolutely nothing in return. So I'm using myself as an example. I don't get anything out of it, but I still help.
You do get something out of it.
What I get out of it?
What you get out of it is you making God happy, according to being that you living by the Bible and whatnot.
So well, then I get, if that, by that rubric, I'm getting a hell of a lot out of it.
Exactly. So you ain't doing it just because you want to do it. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, right?
Ask me.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you this, right? See, so say you ain't know nothing about no Bible or nothing, right? Would you still be the same person you is today? And on top of that, will you still be doing some of the same stuff you be doing today? Because I find it very highly unlikely that however you may act today, without this said presence of this book that tells you that you should act and react within a certain limitations, that you will be doing this.
And you're absolutely right. My beliefs, period. Not just, my Christian beliefs, but my beliefs across the board, which Christianity is a large part of. It guides and it affects my opinions in a very big way. Yes, if I didn't have the guidance of God's word, I may or may not be as altruistic as I am. But that is neither here nor there.
It is here and there, but I don't know nothing about no ultra nothing.
Because I am who I am, and you asked for an example, and I gave you.
I just showed you how you got something out of that, though.
I don't. Man, I don't. Honestly, I do not do it because I feel like, if I'm doing this, God is gonna love me. God is gonna love me regardless.
That's what I've been saying, but like
He is. God is going to love me regardless. But this is what I know. When I didn't have, people helped me.
When you ain't never had.
Contrary to your belief, I was not independently wealthy. I did not grow up with a platinum, silver, gold spoon.
I'm saying though, you ain't got to give me all that. I just need to know when you ain't there had. When you ain't not had.
What you mean? Growing up.
Nobody got nothing growing up.
Growing up, that was not Like, I was never homeless. I was never hungry.
Shit, I was woke.
But I was not affluent. My parents were not affluent. We lived paycheck to paycheck. I mean, like I said, the lights never got cut off. We never got kicked out.
So all I'm saying then is you can miss me with that, because if I don't want to hear that shit, if you ain't suck dick for coke, look.
No, I ain't suck dick for coke. And guess what?
I ain't hear that shit.
Guess what? I would never be sucking dick for coke because coke was not my drug of choice.
You don't
Thank
know
you
that.
very much.
You
I know that.
Coke. You can sell the coke and flip it.
I do know that. But
so, going back to the hold on. Okay. Now to be civilized here. Going back to the original topic, I still see you getting something out of doing, like, I mean, I do the same shit you do. I do shit for people that may not be able to do for themselves. Different set of skills, same theory though. And I do get something out of that.
What you get out of it?
One,
you feel good about yourself?
Yeah, exactly. I feel good about myself that I helped somebody. And that right there, and anyone who has done something and got that feeling, they be fucking lying if they told you that does not feel good. Yes.
It's its own high.
It feels good.
But then, so just that within itself though, I'm not doing it because I see some political gain. I'm not doing it because I see some monetary gain. I'm doing it for the thrill of doing it because it makes me feel good.
Exactly. So you're still doing it to benefit yourself.
When we initially had this conversation, you talked about the Freedom Riders, the white caucus of the Freedom Riders, doing it for political gain.
Yes.
Or doing it for monetary gain, political gain, which leads to monetary gain.
Both, yeah.
But so, not being altruistic. It wasn't that I was doing it for that feel-good feeling. I'm doing it because I'm getting something other than a feel-good feeling out of it.
Yeah, and especially when it comes to college kids too. I'm going to just leave it at this. When it comes to college kids, you can get them to do damn near anything. I can give you two examples.
I'm saying not these days. Though.
Shit, no, especially these days.
I think they are very segmented. They have these though.
Check this out. Internships. I can get you to work for free. That's just one
experience.
That's just one. Call it what you want. I can get you to do shit for me and not pay you. 2, threesomes. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Nah, you stupid. How you know it's easy to get college students to engage in threesomes?
I can't say.
No, you can say.
I can't.
You can say.
I cannot say.
You can say.
I had heard.
Yeah, whatever.
I had heard.
Anyway.
So, anyway, to wrap this episode up, ladies and gentlemen, the original topic, of course, is Miss Hall in Oklahoma. She is home now.
She is home.
And when they commute your sentence, are you on parole or probation?
No, you should not be. No,
free to go.
It's like you have done your time. You're done. Now the thing about this is the takeaway. This is what I want y'all to take out of this. We have laws on the books. As we know, they adversely affect people of color. But this Oklahoma law and laws like it, not only does it disproportionately affect people of color, it disproportionately affects women.
Mm-hmm.
So that within itself, we honestly need to be advocates. And when I say advocate, I don't mean marching angry mobs. I mean getting involved in the political process. And part of the political process is the laws that are on the books in our cities and our states and our nations. We have the ability to affect change in those laws. We do, even though, because I know I hear you screaming. I hear it, Dan. I hear it.
I don't scream.
Yes, I hear it. We do have the ability to affect change. We do. Even though our political might not be as robust as others. we do have the ability. The problem is we lack the urge to get involved. I mean, it's something that you've said. You say it all the time.
I don't do nothing.
Not only that, how does it affect me?
Right.
Has this affected my life? Has my life changed any?
Exactly.
And, you know, and if you decide that it hasn't, you see no reason to get involved. You're not going to do nothing anyway, but you definitely don't see a reason to get involved if it's not immediately affecting your way of life.
Well,
that's how most of us are.
Well, let me tell you, even the people who aren't, right? The people who do want to get involved and enact change and shit, the way they do it these days is like, fuck all that going to the polls shit. Fuck all.
Sue everybody.
No, not even sue. This is what they do. Tweet.
Online poll.
Boom. They just tweet. I show my support for, what was it, France or a couple years ago? Like Paris. During the Paris. It's like, yeah, I support Paris. Yeah, that's fucked up. Tweet, throw their phone down. And that's it. That's what engagement is today.
Right, we live in a digital world. But you know what? That is not a bad thing, because
having you just sat there and said that, yo, we at the restaurants and everybody on their phone.
See, because as with anything, there's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with everything. And you know that. There's good and bad in everything.
Ain't no bad in me, but okay.
Shit. But the point is, even though we have to get in there and try, and that's what I think a lot of us have lost the ability to do, to even try, because we think that's just like, perfect example, why vote? Nothing go change if I vote. But you know what? If everybody thought like that, nothing would change for us.
I'd like to exhibit A. Hillary Clinton got more votes than Donald Trump.
Yeah, but
tell me, I understand the process, but tell me that's not some discouraging shit.
But still, so basically, every time you're discouraged, you just stop. That's what we should do.
Most people, yes.
That's what we should do, though.
It depends.
No,
it depends on what you're trying to do. If you are trying to jump off of a building and fly because you think humans have
wings,
yeah.
Well, see, no, we're talking about when we're trying to affect positive change. Discouragement equals turn around and go home.
Yeah. That's what it
No,
equals.
but that's not what it should do. Just because you are discouraged does not mean you need to stop. Jesus himself was discouraged, but he did not stop.
They killed him.
They did not kill him. They did not killed him.
They killed him.
They did not killed him. He laid down his life. He did not have.
How many of us are willing to do that?
He did not have to die. See, and that's the problem.
I'm not. Are you? Are you willing to lay your life down?
See, that's the problem.
Answer the question.
Wait, let me finish my thought, please, before I answer the question. We are no longer willing to die for what we believe.
She's trying to come up with a.
I am not trying to come up with anything.
Let me finish my thought.
I just wanted to finish my thought. You know, we talk about the Freedom Riders. They were willing to die.
They didn't know they were going to die.
But they were willing. They knew that was a possibility.
I don't think.
How did it didn't? Do you know?
Wait, I can explain right now to you. Do you know how many people sign up for the armed forces knowing that there's a chance I can die?
That's correct.
But until the shit happens, and then they're like, "Oh shit, I can die."
But they are willing. They're
not willing.
They are, because you don't put yourself in harm's way if you're not willing.
No, they are not willing. I don't know anybody who's not suicidal that is willing to die.
Let me tell you, these special ops people, like Navy SEALs, you don't think they're willing to die?
No, they are highly trained, and they believe, and this is the thing, they're trained to believe that they cannot die because they are so good at what they do.
But they are still willing to put themselves in harm's way.
That's their job. Yes.
That is the job that they signed up for. It is voluntary. They were not drafted. They volunteered to do that.
Right, but nobody believes that. Whatever.
You're walking down the
believes.
street and you can get hit by a car, but you don't stop walking down the street.
What?
I'm saying that Just because there is an element of danger should not stop you from acting.
But what? See, now we're kind of flipping it here. The initial premise was that nobody is willing.
Willing. Yes, Jesus was willing to die.
Yeah.
So don't say nobody. He did.
No, I'm saying nobody today, as far as when it comes to enacting change.
And that's the problem.
Do you think? Wait, let me ask you something serious too. This is a serious question. Do you think Martin Luther King was willing to die?
Yep.
I don't think so.
Yep.
I don't think he was willing. I think he did.
I think he was willing, because anytime you put yourself in harm's way, that equals voluntarily, that equals you are willing.
Malcolm X.
Absolutely. He was afraid, but he was still willing, because he said by any means necessary. And if that means equals I have to die, any means necessary.
So let me ask you this, and I'm going to wrap this episode up because we're kind of running over. But the whole willing to die, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say Malcolm. Malcolm had a family. He had a wife. He had kids. Martin had a family. He had a wife. He had kids. So at what point do you put your family second place? Because in my mind, maybe I'm wrong.
And he did.
Your family's supposed to be.
And they both did.
Yeah, your family's supposed to be your number one priority, your main concern. You need to make sure your family is safe and secure, and then everything else after that, right? But they put their families.
And they did, for the greater good.
At what point is that okay? Like, you agree? Do you agree with that?
Do I agree with him putting his family second to his convictions?
Yes.
See, that's hard. And I'm going to tell you why. And this is why that's hard. It goes back to my beliefs and my belief in the word of God. And so going back to the word says, no greater love has any man than to lay down his life for a friend. Right? So Dr. King was a minister, and he was a believer of the word. And so knowing that leads me to believe that 100% he looked at the world and he said, I live in the world and these are my friends, and I'm willing to lay down my life because I believe in what I'm doing. So in that aspect, I say yes. But then me being who I am, my pastor says something. He says it all the time. And what he says is
he wants everyone to love Jesus.
No, this is what he says. He says, because he has kids, and he says if he had to have his child die for us, we would be gone pecan. But that's the human in us. Mm-hmm. Because self first. But Dr. King was selfless. And because of that, Malcolm X was selfless as well. Because of that, it was his mission before everything. And I think in his head, his mission was tied to his belief in the word.
So fuck your family, basically.
Because he was on a path. He was doing what God's will was. And sometimes when you're doing the will of God, God first.
Man, how do you know what the will of God is?
He tells you.
I'm going to leave it at that. Because a lot of people done told me a lot of shit before.
He tells you.
Ain't nobody ever say this is my will.
He tells you.
I still don't have a will either, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
Anyway, this has been a more proliferating.
A what?
Proliferating.
What
oh, my bad.
What is?
My proliferating episode.
Oh, what episode?
It's kind of like prolific and like
methazine
something. Yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, for real, man. Like, she be on some Bama shit, y'all, but I want y'all to feel me on this because y'all could keep up with me on Twitter and IG at I am Dan on drugs. And you can keep up with the show on all platforms, and that's at Black Law Podcast. And I think that's it.
Nah, bro, I don't be on no Bama shit because I ain't even about that Bama life. I'm a fan of LSU. Thank you.
Nah,
Roll Tide away from here.
Nobody give a fuck about no college football.
For LSU.
Nobody give a fuck about that shit, man.
Shit.
And anyway, some niggas saying they play, they don't play, man.
Man, shut up. I am just Ann, and you can follow me on Twitter at I Tell Legal Lies.
Yeah, all right, y'all. Until next time, we're gonna holler at y'all. You heard me?
You know what? You don't make a good hood.
Shit. What?
Make a good hood.
I would like to tell everybody that I'm here today to be like telling y'all stuff on this microphone and
Nah, you gotta do what your boy what